Egypt's interim PM Hazem Beblawi has defended the deadly operation to break up protest camps in Cairo, saying the authorities had to restore security. Mr. Beblawi said it was not an easy decision to disperse the supporters of deposed President Mohammed Morsi. The government, which has declared a nationwide state of emergency, said 149 people were killed in the operation. The Muslim Brotherhood, which backed the protests, says more than 2,000 people died in the violence. Police have taken control of the camps in the capital and are reported to have arrested key Brotherhood leaders. Police professional. In a televised address, Mr. Beblawi expressed regret for the loss of life and said the month-long state of national emergency would be lifted as soon as possible. He said police had been given instructions not to use weapons to disperse protesters. Witnesses, including journalists, have said they heard gunshots and live ammunition as the camps were being cleared. Interior Minister Mohammed Ibrahim said the police had dealt professionally with the protesters, and that 43 police personnel had been killed in violence across the country. Mr. Ibrahim accused the pro-Morsi protesters of building fortifications and firing birdshot at the police forces. He said armed gangs had infiltrated the protest sites, and ammunition had been seized. Across the country, members of the Muslim Brotherhood have been arrested and are being interrogated, Mr. Ibrahim said. The state of emergency is scheduled to last for a month, and imposes a curfew in Cairo and several other provinces between 1900 hours local time, 1700 hours GMT, and 6 o'clock. Vice President Mohammed Beblawi has announced his resignation from the interim government in the wake of the violence. "I cannot continue in shouldering the responsibility for decisions I do not agree with and I fear their consequences. I cannot shoulder the responsibility for a single drop of blood," he said in a statement. Bloodshed. Armored bulldozers moved into the two protest camps shortly after dawn on Wednesday morning. Large plumes of smoke rose over parts of the city as the operation began. Security forces fired tear gas canisters fired and helicopters circled above. Continue reading the main story. Start quote. Police snipers are above the nearby school buildings, shooting any resident hurrying to the square. Your experience as Egypt's media. The smaller camp in Nada Square was cleared relatively quickly, but clashes raged for most of the day around the main camp near Cairo's Rabaa al-Adawiyya Mosque. Egyptian television said that by evening the security forces had finally seized full control of the site, and were allowing surviving protesters to leave. But several Muslim Brotherhood leaders were reportedly detained, including Essam el-Arian and Mohammed el-Beltaji, whose 17-year-old daughter was apparently killed. Most of the dead are thought to be Morsi supporters, but members of the security forces were also killed. A cameraman working for Sky News, Mick Dean, was also killed, as was a reporter for Gulf News, Habida Ahmed Abdelaziz. She was not working at the time. There are also reports of unrest elsewhere in Egypt. About 35 people have died in clashes in the province of Fayoum, south of Cairo, Reuters news agency says. At least 5 people have been killed in the province of Suez, according to the health ministry. Clashes have also been reported in the northern provinces of Alexandria and Beira, and the central provinces of Asad and Minya. State news agency MENA says 3 churches have been attacked, one in the city of Soha which has a large number of Coptic Christian residents. Supporters of Mr. Morsi, Egypt's first freely elected president, have been staging street protests since he was ousted on 3 July, demanding his reinstatement. He is currently in custody at an undisclosed location, and has been accused of the premeditated murder of some prisoners, officers and soldiers during a prison breakout in 2011. There has been strong international reaction to the storming of the camps. U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said the events were deplorable and a real blow to reconciliation efforts. Violence was simply not a solution and ran counter to Egyptians' aspirations to peace and democracy, he said. Violence and continued political polarization will further tear the Egyptian economy apart, EU Foreign Policy Chief Catherine Ashton said in a statement. We reiterate that violence won't lead to any solution and we urge the Egyptian authorities to proceed with utmost restraint. Turkish Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan described the result of the camp clearances as a massacre, accused other countries of paving the way for the violence by staying silent, and called for the UN and the Arab League to act immediately. UK Foreign Secretary William Hague also condemned the use of force,